Right, I get it. Now we're back to all the crazy fantasy epics, right? Excellent. I don't know what I'm doing. Hello lovely people of YouTube and welcome back to Mark on Life and GhibliTime. Thank you to everybody that watched last week's episode, which was the epic Princess Mononoke. If you haven't seen that episode, I will leave a link in the description and at the end of this video. Now, as you can see by the Blu-ray that Totoro is guarding for me, the film we're going to cover this week is one of the more underrated Studio Ghiblis, and that is My Neighbours The Yamadas. My Neighbours The Yamadas came out on the 17th of July 1999, and although it was sandwiched between two absolute box office epics, you got Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away, both absolute enormous hits, My Neighbours The Yamadas didn't do massively well. It wasn't a disaster by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't a box office hit. I can see why. It's very, very different. It could not be more different from the two that it was between. It's not a big epic, it's a very, very small film comparatively, and it has a very different style. The art style, as we'll cover later, which is similar to Princess Kaguya, which we'll cover later as well, but it's very, very different from what has come before in Studio Ghibli, and maybe that put people off. Maybe not, but yeah, it wasn't a sort of box office stormer. The Japanese title for this one is a little bit odd, to say the least. The title is Hoho Kekkyo Tonari no Yamada-kun, right? Now, the second bit, Tonari no Yamada-kun, that makes sense. That's a pretty literal translation. It sort of means, the Yamadas next door, or neighbours. It sort of actually means the Yamada next door, and kun is the sort of suffix you'd add to usually a male person of your level or below. So it definitely makes sense that it's being told from the perspective of someone outside of that family. But the first bit, Hoho Kekkyo, is odd. I actually had to look this one up. It is the name of a bird. It is the uguisu, the Japanese bush warbler, which is very, very strange. If you're quite eagle-eyed, you might have actually noticed that this bird features on the title card of the movie. The reason is sort of not 100% known, but people have their thoughts. You might have noticed that all Miyazaki films so far have the word no, or the sound no, in it. So, for example, Sento Chihiro no Kamikakushi, or Princess Mononoke. And all films directed by Takahata have the sound ho or po in them, which is essentially the same character. It's the same hiragana or katakana with a sort of lexicographic adjustment made to it. So this one, people think, is a sort of their attempt to have the sound ho in the title. Now, it's a bit of a weird thought, that. I mean, because there's so many words you could have chosen, so why Hoho Kekkyo, this type of bird? I don't know. Other people think that it might be so it was taken less seriously, so you didn't think of it as this big serious movie, but a more light-hearted one. Could be true, don't know, but that's what they did. So the writer and director of My Neighbours The Yamadas is Isao Takahata. It was taken from a newspaper, comic strips, the first adaptation of it by Hisaichi Ishii. It was called the same name, although it was renamed in 1997 Nono-chan, after one of their children in the family. This film also marks Studio Ghibli's first ever 100% digitally created movie. And it's because of the art style. Like I said, it's like a watercolour painting. And they felt that there was just no way to do this other than with a computer. US dub for this one is good, but it doesn't quite sit right with me. It's not a star-studded one either. The only name in the cast is James Belushi. And I'll tell you why. I think it's because a lot of Ghibli films have European influence, particularly Miyazaki, very influenced by Europe. And so his settings and characters sometimes, although they are technically set in Japan often, could be anywhere. And so when you have the English dub, it fits really well, and of course the performances are good. Now the performances are good here too, but when you have a setting that is definitely Japanese, and in this it's specifically set in a very typical suburban Japanese family, it sounds a little more odd, because now it sounds more like a sort of, American sitcom. So it's still a good dub, but I'd go for the Japanese one on this one. So what happens in my Neighbours The Yamadas? Now this one I don't think I'm going to give all that much plot, because to be honest, there isn't that much plot, and that sounds bad, and I don't mean it that way. It's just a really lovely look at a family. The story is told in a series of chapters or vignettes, each with their own sort of like poetic beginning to it, like a chapter. And it centres around this family. It doesn't say exactly where it's set, but we can imagine it is an absolutely sort of bog standard suburban Japanese family. That is the point. It's supposed to be a very, very normal suburban setting. And we have mum, dad, 2 kids, and grandma. And although each family member has their own thread in the film, it's really just all about the family. And so we start off with grandma telling us about all the difficulty of family, but also why it's so important, and the threads that holds everyone together. And then we have a section about Nonoko, the young girl getting left behind at the shopping mall and the trouble trying to find her, but she's okay. And then the next chapter is about the father and his son bonding over baseball. And so sometimes it's a very light chapter, and sometimes it's a bit more emotional, like one chapter where the father is a bit forlorn because he doesn't feel like he was able to protect his family, and he has fantasies about being able to do that. So you get sort of the light-hearted element of it, and then the quite sad emotional parts. And that's really the film. It's about the passing of time, family trips, frustrations, seasons. If I could sum it up, I think this film, the central theme is that despite all the problems a family might have, they might argue with each other and even think they hate each other at time, there is always the bond. The bond of love between this family is really, really lovely to watch. Even though they're sniping at each other constantly, you can see that all the way through. So I don't think I can ruin the plot in this one. This one is not about sort of an A to Z plot. It's about just being with this family and enjoying your time with them. And so did I enjoy my time with the Yamadas? Would I recommend you spending time with them? Yeah, I absolutely would. Again, really great Blu-ray. The animation looks fantastic. Again, if you're looking for a big epic like Spirited Away or something, it's not going to be here. This is the exact opposite of that. It's a very small, very quiet, very charming sort of little tale with a family called the Yamadas. And if you like that kind of thing, you will love it. If you don't, it's not for you. Do I recommend it? Yeah, I think you should. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a big thumbs up if you liked this video. Leave me a comment. Have you seen My Neighbours The Yamadas? What did you think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Share this video any way you want and subscribe to my channel to see more. Next week is going to be my favourite week. We're covering my favourite and probably the most popular Studio Ghibli film of all time, Spirited Away. I'm on all the usual social media platforms, Twitter and Instagram are Mark Joseph Actor, so go and follow me there. Click over here somewhere if you want to see last week's episode, which was Princess Mononoke, and click over here somewhere if you want to see my movie-based comedy series called Retrospectives. So I will see you all right back here next week for Spirited Away. Very excited for this one, but from me, for now, Mark on Life and GhibliTime, I will speak to you soon.